What's your lemonade stand story?
And he was like, YouTube's going to be the next big thing, Devin. Like, you need to get on that. You need to get on it early. And I'm like,
And all of us, we all go through our own trials, our own level of stuff.
Sure hope this works out. Otherwise, this will be a huge waste of time.
I mean, what else is it all about other than just taking risks and continuing to try and grow and hopefully get better and better at making things?
Most of the billion-dollar brands you've seen were started by people that were just solving a problem for themselves.
We're telling lemonade stand stories from some of the world's top creators, makers, and go-getters.
We're rolling right now.
Hey,
We're having fun. We're rolling.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this podcast today is sponsored by Yalla, a task management and team collaboration software that we use at Lemonade Stand. We use Yalla to keep all of our team members organized, wherever they are. In fact, we used it to plan and organize this podcast. Visit yalla.team, that's YALLA.team, and try it for free. We also have a special offer for all listeners of this podcast. Use promo code LEMONADE and get a lifetime 25% off if you upgrade. What's going on, guys? This is Charan Prabhakar with the Lemonade Stand Stories podcast, and I'm here with a very delightful guest who I've had the pleasure of meeting for the last about 30 seconds. No, it's been longer than that. It's been a little longer than that. I would say a good solid minute and 30 seconds. This is Rachel Nilsen right in front of me. And Rachel is the CMO and one of the founders, I would say, of not
owners.
Owners. So sorry. I apologize.
Totally
to you guys.
fine.
I'm the worst. CMO and one of the owners of Thirst. And if you guys have never heard of Thirst, well, you guys obviously have not lived, clearly. It's specialty drink place is what you'd kind of refer to it as, right? Wouldn't you just say you have some of the coolest beverages in town and whatnot?
Yeah, so we are drinks and treats. So we like to distinguish away from soda shop and be drinks and treats. We have a ton of options besides soda. Yeah,
well, that's awesome because, it's like, you know, you hear places like So Delicious and things like that. Like, how would you distinguish yourself from places like Soda Delicious?
So something interesting actually that our owner definitely came up with and was definitely very felt very strongly upon when he opened is that he didn't want to have a name like So Delicious, where it was what if things change and we start selling carrot juice, you know, or something, and it's So Delicious can't sell carrot juice, but Thirst could sell, not that it's going to be carrot juice, but
and the thing is with So Delicious, the problem is they have to sell delicious drinks now.
Yeah,
if
true.
they stop
and
selling delicious
drinks, soda.
It's got to be soda, right?
And that just limits them. But something else that distinguishes us is we have a ton of snack items, and so we have soft pretzel bites that we bake fresh, and they're not frozen and microwaved. We make the dough in the store. We make them fresh. We bake them all, and then we also have fresh beignets that we make the dough for as well. So we make everything fresh. And we just have amazing treats.
I'm so hungry and thirsty right now. Thank you so much. This is amazing.
Of course.
No, it's incredible that you were able to kind of come up with all of this. And you were mentioning to me earlier that there were lines that were going on for time and all eternity, waiting to get in. So how did that all how did you guys grow from a concept to now where you're at right now?
So something else that's a little bit different is I think we're all about the experience, and we also use a lot of social media, free marketing, Yeah. When I started in 2018, Thirst was one stop. We were just in downtown Salt Lake City, not in a very ideal place either. We're on 1300 South and State Street. There's a large homeless population. It's not the nicest area. So it's not the ideal place for your mom's soda stop. And we were just soda and cookies, just like everyone else, 2018. And from the beginning, Ethan, our owner, had been using social media to drive traffic, to talk to his customers. He had this whole series called Thirsty Mom TV, where every Wednesday he would talk to the thirsty moms and talk to his audience. And he started off with a really strong base there. And from then we've been posting a ton on social media. That's how we talk to our customers. We have text lists, we have email lists, we have all the things. But I think what really sets us apart is that we use those platforms to really talk to our customers and ask them what they want, and then we make the experience they have at Thirst about them, tell them to have a happy day, and it's not just about the soda and beignets that they're pulling through to get.
It's actually about an experience.
Yeah,
right?
totally. Yeah, and Ethan always says drinks and treats are a commodity, but what we sell is an experience. So
oh my gosh, I love that. That's awesome, because the truth is I think people crave experience.
Yes, and that's a lot of what we saw during COVID. There were a lot of businesses that struggled through COVID, and we were really feeling for them, but we succeeded through COVID. Like, we grew a lot. We opened 2 locations that year, and our lines were busier than ever because everyone just wanted something to do. They were stuck in their houses, and a drive-through was like a safe place to go through, and it was something to do with your family. So we exploded during COVID, and it was a great time for us. Obviously not a good time, but it was a great time for business, just because it was an experience.
No, I love that. I think that's so important and incredible. Now, you mentioned COVID. I think what's so great about it is COVID really made people feel very isolated. Yeah. Right? And very, very separate from each other, feeling like that the world, I mean, this was like so unprecedented, right? Like a worldwide pandemic that made everybody stop working. Like, it's insane, right? Yes. So I think any sort of experience that allowed people to come together in a safe way, I would say, and and enjoy the drinks or snacks, but really a chance for people to kind of get out and feel like, hey, you know what, we're gonna get through this. Like, this is making us feel good. Yeah, I think that's what's so awesome, is like being able to create an experience that caters to everybody, that allows them to feel hopeful again.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right. How did you get involved in becoming like an owner and a CMO? Like, I'm like so curious about this. This is insane.
Well, I dropped out of college. That's how.
That is the best,
long story
advice,
short.
Guys. Everyone hearing this,
not
please.
For everyone, but if it is for you, then do it.
Yeah.
I originally was going to the U of U. I lived in a dorm. It was miserable and expensive, and more expensive than I could afford with my 9-to-5 corporate job where I wanted to scratch my eyes out every day. It was nothing I was interested in. It was literally just like they offered partial tuition reimbursement, and looking back, the salary was horrible. I mean, the pay rate was horrible, but at that time I was like, this is great. Salary,
an hourly wage reimbursement. Or
it was not great at all. Anyway, I lived in this dorm, and like 200 yards away was where we ate at like the food court, where we ate all our meals, and there was like a convenience stop there, and then there was a Thirst that just opened there. Ethan and one of his partners at the time were both students at the U. They decided that they wanted like a little convenience Thirst there and opened one up. They were hiring a few employees, and I was like, this would be great. Like, I'll work here like 2 or 3 nights a week. I'll be able to do my homework and just make some drinks. So that's where that started. A few months later, that location, we wanted to close it because it wasn't very profitable, but the U was like, look, we'll just staff it for you. You don't need to worry about it. Just sell us your products. So now it's kind of like a franchise, I guess, but we don't, it's not popular or anything. We don't really
push out that location.
Yeah. So I started working in our main store for what Ethan, our owner, called a few projects over the holidays.
I know where this is going, but pretend that the guests don't.
Okay. So a few projects over the holidays. We he just wanted like some help with some Instagram content. Sure. We made some videos. He showed me how to edit them on Adobe Premiere, and I was able to get Premiere and like the whole Adobe suite through my student
because that's
library.
Like an expensive monthly
it's so
fee
expensive,
if you don't have that.
Well, maybe don't drop out all the way. Maybe take 1 credit or 2 credits.
You guys, if you're gonna drop out the right way. Drop out in the sense you don't have to go to classes, but still get the benefits of being in school. That's
take
the moral
like one
of the story.
online class.
Yes.
Just kidding. Yeah. So I started editing these videos, and then he was like, do you want to do this like more often? And it wasn't full time yet, I don't think, but over the years it just grew, and I started taking on more projects, and then I became the marketing manager, and then I just grew into what it is now, and it's 3 years later.
Did you feel like it was a pretty natural transition?
Yeah, so as we expanded and as Ethan needed to focus on other things, he is a marketer. Like, he is incredible. And the ideas that flow out of his brain, I'm like, wow, I could have never thought of that. And so he's had to step away from things, but he still is like, I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, as he had to step away, I grew into that role, and as we opened more locations, that role became bigger. Now I have a community manager under me. I had a content creator, but she lives really far away, so she is leaving, and we're looking for a new content creator, but now I have a team under me. And that's how it's grown over the last few years.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, the thing is like this right here, this Lemonade Stand podcast is based off of like a marketing agency.
Yeah, you guys are online
right?
marketing
An
agency,
online
right?
marketing agency. And it's interesting because I'm a content creator. I don't market that well, and I don't really have the brain to like.
Interesting.
It's a very interesting way to approach things, and I just don't think like that.
It's super weird to have like an in-house marketing team. It's not something a lot of businesses have. It's something I am very fortunate to be a part of, and I'm very aware of that. I don't think I'll ever see another company. Not that I'll ever go to a different company. I'm very stuck on Thirst, but I don't think you'd ever see another company that would give the opportunity I have and like the not status, but the
No. The like basically like the credentials almost.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the importance, I guess. They just don't place as much importance on marketing, especially in house. And that's.
Well, the truth is marketing is super duper important because building a following, building an audience, and then like keeping an audience loyal to you is such a tricky thing. But if you have an audience that has like an emotional attachment to your product and
we're not just talking about the caffeine addiction here.
And not just the caffeine addiction, you know? I mean, are you guys going to... I mean, I could clearly see you guys branching out and creating a product, like a company called Hunger. I mean, you might as well. You're close.
That would be kind of cool.
I'm just saying.
I see you.
Giving you some marketing advice right there. No, honestly though, it's like there's all these different options, right? Because you're building
the burger place.
Yeah, Hunger the burger place. You see it, right? You know, but it's interesting because it's like when you find like a loyal fan base on anything. And they don't really go away. They want to know more of what you guys are providing. So like, let's talk a little bit about the experience.
Yeah.
The experience that someone feels like when they come into your doors and they order some drinks and stuff. Like, what makes it so different from everybody else?
So first, we treat our employees super well. They get paid a lot. They have like the hours they want. We train them very well, so they're like very comfortable in their roles. That starts off the customer's experience. We put our employees first. Everyone says the customer's always right. We say the employees are always right, and that really sets the tone of a happy experience for the customer, because when you have a happy employee, they're going to have a better experience.
I love that. So
when the customer walks in or drives through one of our stores, these employees have like these high-pitched happy voices, and you're like, why? Like, this is essentially a fast food place, and you don't usually see like this
positivity.
Hi, like, what can I get for you? How are you today? And we do have an order script, and it's how are you, and like a genuine greeting, and it can't just be like, hi. Hey, you know, like they do need to add like a genuine greeting to the customer. It gets them to know like a lot of our regulars. Just forms relationships with our customers, and then they always leave with have a happy day after, you know, they get their food. So
a buddy of mine was talking to me. He has a company called Tribe House, and his whole business is about networking. It's about bringing different business leaders, thought leaders together, and then they network with each other, and that is it. And he said to me, he's like, look, business is all built on relationships.
Yeah.
You know, like if you focus on the relationship first, then the business, they'll just naturally buy. It's not like, now let me shove this thing down your throat.
Totally.
Right? And
that's something we also take into account when we're posting anywhere. Like in any Facebook groups, we translate that through our whole business. We never post like these selly, like, buy my cookies, like, great day for a cookie.
Yeah.
You know, like those posts that have no other alternative no other motive than to sell you something. We always just post like information and things to build relationships.
No, I love that. I think that's awesome, and I love that you guys put your employees first. Like, I think that's a totally unique approach too, because you know, in airlines, they always say, hey, before you put the mask on your kids, put it on yourself first, right?
Yeah.
So there is definitely something to be said about like taking care of yourself, your own well-being, because the more you feel comfortable and you feel safe, the more that feeling exudes onto other people.
Totally.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, we believe very strongly in that.
Yeah, that's great. So I want to kind of shift things a little bit. Now, part of the Lemonade Stand Stories podcast is to hear about people's lemonade stand experiences. Like, everyone in life has had experiences where they were dealt lemons, like just hard blows, you know, like, oh my gosh, like that was a lemon. But to be able to turn it into lemonade, to kind of pivot, to change it in from a negative to a positive. Do you have anything like that in your own life where you're like, yeah, that was a lemon?
Yes.
That was a brutal lemon.
Yes. So I grew up really poor.
Okay.
Like really poor. And my parents were always able to like pay rent. We always had a house, you know, we always had like clothes, but I paid for everything myself. That wasn't like education, clothing, or food. And that was school, that was my car, that was extracurriculars like sports. So going into college, I was facing like my best friend really wanted to live in the dorms, and I wasn't about to kill her dream, and I was like, oh, I can do that. The dorms are really expensive at the U. You have to get a food plan with them, even if you're not going to use it. I have celiac, and I wasn't going to use the food plan.
Wow.
So it's like $1,200 to $1,300 a month for one bedroom with half a bathroom, and you're sharing it with somebody. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And then tuition on top of that. I was like trying to tackle that in my head, and that was really hard. But it did lead me to thirst. Mm-hmm. And I did end up dropping out. And like, yeah, I spent a lot of money on college, and though I didn't use anything from college. I know a lot of people that use their degrees or like the connections they've made. I did find thirst.
Yeah.
So definitely a big turning point in my life, but it was definitely really hard to get there.
What's interesting about that journey is it's such a unique journey that's your own journey, right? When I went to college, I had no clue what I wanted to do. Like, I had no clue.
I wasn't there for any reason other than just go to college.
I was like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, right? And so the first semester I took a communications class, and I thought, oh yeah, I like communications. I'll be a communications major, right?
That's exactly where I was going.
So,
that's exactly where Ethan went to.
Oh really? See, I took communications only to realize, nope, this is not for me, you know? And then later on I'm like, oh, it's because I'm a business guy, you know? That's what people say, right? You're a business guy. So I started taking business classes, and I remember my first semester, or my second semester, right back from Christmas break, I took so I had a break. Like, I was like fresh, I was excited to go back to school, and I went to class, and I thought someone sucker punched me. And I'm like, dude, this is the worst. Like just the
Take
thought.
me back to Christmas break.
Yeah, I'm like, please, Santa, come back and save me, you know? So I was dying, and it was just like the first day back or second day back or something like that. And my path was so interesting because I kept switching majors, and people were like, my parents were like, you've got to pick something. You got to like just go for it. I didn't know what I wanted to do. You know, I had no idea. And my friend's dad, he was so inspired, and you know, and he kind of like gave me some really good tips along the way. But one of the things that I remember thinking was like, when I look back on my life, when I get older and I look back, if I regretted anything, what would it be?
Yeah.
And I got like really real with myself, and I'm like, well, I've always thought acting was awesome, but I've never given it a shot because I was afraid I wasn't going to make it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I tried all these different things. And then I'm like, why haven't I given it a shot? Like, honestly, why haven't I given it a shot? And it was just the fear of failure. And so when I realized that, I'm like, I got to like just go for it. Just see what happens. And if I failed, then whatever. But at least I give it a shot, right? Yeah. And it was one of the best decisions of my life because it worked out. Yeah, and it's been
really fine,
and it's been
yourself.
Awesome, right? But what was cool is, like, you know, even hearing your own journey, it is not the traditional student path. No. You know, it's a path of like, hey, I'm doing this, I don't know why I'm doing this. But now you're at Thirst.
Yeah, and it was like this part-time, twice a week, night shift thing. No, and it's like my whole life.
Yeah. And now here you are, and how do you feel like being there right now?
Oh my gosh, I love it. You
love it.
There are moments of stress and frustration and like extreme frustration and stress that just like anyone would have when they're passionate about something. Sure. I feel like if nothing else, like those moments drive me more than they deter me because I just know like it's something I'm super passionate about and that I care about, and that's why I'm feeling that way. But usually it's just, amazing. I love going to work. I love what I do, and it's not really going to work. I just love living my life that happens to be at Thirst. Like, I don't have like a shift. It's not like, oh, I gotta work today. It's just like wake up and
you
wake
do
up
you.
And grind.
You wake up and grind. Now, every company, especially when they're growing, has growing pains.
Yeah.
Has there been growing pains at Thirst, and what have they been like?
For sure. We're trying to expand, and it's really hard right now. There aren't like a lot of good locations, and there are some cities that are not very fond of drive-thrus. Like Holiday City, you can't build a new drive-thru in. You have to have like an existing one, or I don't know. There's some complicated building rule about drive-thrus, and a lot of cities just take a really long time to approve your plan. So right now our growing pain is just finding places to be and getting approval for there. Something that I was always really fortunate and aware of was when we were really small, I knew Ethan was investing a lot in me and a marketing team, which was just me for the first 2 years, and then we did hire people onto my team. And I know that wasn't like, he couldn't look at the sales and think like, oh, this is directly correlating to this sale, you know, like you can with like a Facebook ad or something trackable. So I know that was a big investment and a growing pain in the beginning, but now it's obviously paid off and worked out. But we've had little growing pains just like everyone
else, you know. Well, I love what you guys are doing. I think the fact that even though it is tough, like the fact that you guys are providing experiences for people, like positive experiences for people in your own way, is awesome. I think it's just great because not only are the drinks like their own unique flavors and stuff like that, and your snacks are unique as well, but I think the fact that you've got lines out the door, like
we
go
do
for
have
a while,
following.
It shows like, hey, there is like an emotional connection that's happening with people, that really just like sets the bar, right?
Yeah, and we've actually been able to transfer that following to this new business we're starting.
Oh, nice.
And it's been super helpful to have like this already
kind of
tried and
established
true presence in Salt Lake and like surrounding areas to go on to this new business, and we like haven't had to start from scratch. So it's really crazy to see like what the power of social media is, because we do, I'd say 90% of our marketing on social media. We're not in print, we're not we're not on TV, and we don't have billboards. It's all just free social media,
right? What's cool, it's like free social media plus an awesome product and experience, right? Because it's like social media can be a two-edged sword too, right?
Totally you can self-destruct on social media. So it's like you've got to make sure your product is good, your offerings are good, and your experience is good. Totally. Do you listen to Gary Vee?
I should. I do not.
He says like good marketing with a bad product just quickens people realizing that your product sucks or something. It's
kind of like I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but they say like money is a steroid, right? And it's like basically whatever direction you're going, money will get you there faster. So if you're already imploding, money will make you implode even faster, right? So what's interesting is being able to like do self-evaluations and check that you guys are good before you go out into the world, which is one of the reasons why I love the fact that your employees are treated so great. Because now, not just the product that you guys are creating, but the people involved in the creation of the product and selling the product are like good. Now you're going to be able to market and attract people to you that will have an incredible experience. And of course, they're going to naturally tell about it. And I think like... our employees are like some of our biggest walking billboards. I feel like. Totally. Yeah, so it's like this word of mouth advertising, right? So kind of shifting topics just a little bit. One of the things I love asking people on this podcast is what currently brings them joy. So what brings you joy right now in life? I love working. A lot of things bring me joy at it. Ethan and I are dating. Okay. So it's really fun to work with my significant other. It's super, super fun. We work super well together. And then I love my schedule. It brings me a lot of joy. I work
from pretty early to pretty late, but Ethan works a little bit later, so it just allows me like a few hours to either like go to the gym or go home, and we get like a few hours apart, and then we're just back together, and that's what brings me joy. I just love my schedule.
That's amazing.
Thank you. I really have so much joy in my life, I feel like.
Yeah, that's so great. Like you're able to like build this business with your significant other.
Yeah, it's so fun. Yeah.
Like that, I think sounds incredible, because not only are you guys providing like a positive experience for everybody, but you're providing a positive experience for yourself.
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean?
super fun. It's a dream.
That's a dream. No, yeah. that's amazing. And I think like, just the idea of creation is awesome. And like, especially if you're doing something that you really enjoy, and then you can create it with some people around you that you love, then it becomes a lot more of a joyous deal, right? Really. I was just talking to some of the people outside before you came in here about an author, and his name is Brandon Mull. I don't know if you've heard of him. I know Brandon Mull.
He wrote
the Fablehaven series and stuff, right?
With the little characters.
With the characters and stuff. So it's funny. So we've since become like good friends, and Brandon has gotten married. He got remarried, and his wife edits all of his books.
That's so cool.
And I'm like, that's amazing. Like that they're able to work together and like create these like really great. It's their own creation, right? And they create an experience for people as well when they like read their books, right? So it's that same principle, that same recipe. Like, you know, you're able to work together and you're able to create an experience, and other people having that experience have a very positive experience with that.
Yeah.
What you're offering.
Yeah.
Then I feel like that's like the success formula right there.
And it's so crazy, because I know like some people try and work so closely together and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so it definitely takes like a strong mind and like a lot of cooperation, but when it works, like I think it works so well. So
let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
How do you make it work then? Because I have seen it where people start working together and then quickly their relationship sours.
Yeah.
Right.
So Ethan and I have been dating for 2.5 years, so it's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure we're good and not soured, but
yeah, for sure.
This is, I feel like, how it works. We work super closely together on certain things, but then we also don't like see each other all day, every day, all the time, because he's doing a lot of new training with like that new business is a Wetzel's Powered by Thirst food truck, and he's doing a lot focusing on that, and I'm on my computer editing, or we work closely together in the goals we're trying to accomplish, but we're not always like in the same room.
Yeah.
And we're not always like, he doesn't have to approve everything I do. I don't have to approve anything he does. We're just working towards the same goal. So I think we're not working over each other, just towards the same thing.
One thing that you mentioned, well, you didn't mention, but I got was like, you guys don't micromanage each other.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like you have your own autonomy. He has his own autonomy.
Yeah.
He does his thing. You do your thing. So you guys kind of interdependently work together.
Yeah, we definitely have like goals, like we want to focus more on this and we need to do better at this, but it's not like, and this is how you need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like we can allow each other to do that our own way,
mm-hmm.
and then see what works and what doesn't.
I love that. It's like a perfect support system,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And then the fact that you're saying like you have like a little checks and balances type of deal where you like see what works and what
mm-hmm.
doesn't. It's like, all right, well, this doesn't work. Let's just think of a different strategy.
Totally. And we've been recently doing that actually with our own podcast. We knew we wanted to be on this podcast platform.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan set up the whole thing. I thought of like some ideas for a few series we could run. But we didn't have like a strong, like, we didn't know exactly why we were podcasting, other than it was the new place for people's attention and we wanted to be there.
Yeah.
We've made some changes. That's what we've been working on recently. Like, we want people's attention there, but we want it there for a reason. And we've been working over our series, and I feel like we finally found a few valuable pieces of content that we're both happy with.
That's awesome. I that's awesome. And the thing is like, it's the same formula that you used for your drinks.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like the same thing of like working together, figuring out what works, what doesn't, experimenting, and at the same time, like allowing for the autonomy between both of you guys. I think you guys have kind of nailed it down. And what's cool is like, once you found this formula of success, now you just duplicate it.
Yeah,
You
totally,
just duplicate it
totally.
in other areas, and it tends to work out.
Totally.
Right? I just recently worked on a film that I've been helping produce as well as act. And it's interesting because all of us, like have like different roles. Like we overlap each other on certain things, but we have these different roles, and we all like feel like we do pretty well in those roles. And as a result of it, it's like this is how a successful experience making a movie is made, and it's just been really a fun experience overall.
Yeah.
And now we're like, okay, great, this has been an awesome experience. Let's duplicate this.
Yeah.
Right?
To work together and
to
not
work
over
together.
each other.
Exactly. Not micromanage each other, but just support each other and help each other out. And if one person's having a hard day, then the other people can help lift the people up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome. Okay, I've got 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
What is your greatest fear right now?
Oh, this is actually funny. My greatest fear is that people realize that I was never trained in any of this. I'm not a photographer, and they're like, oh, she actually doesn't know what she's doing.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's my greatest fear. The first time I picked up a camera was for Thirst. Ethan like handed me this Canon camera from Costco, and I was like, what does this do?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, not an iPhone?
Yeah.
So I never took any classes. I just kind of wing it, and like my fear is that like one time my winging it won't quite work.
Oh,
so that's that, I guess.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. It's kind of like, like the whole fake it till you make it type of thing, right? But what I find very interesting is the longer I've been alive and done research, I find a lot of people have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Totally.
And they kind of like just fell into things, and they kept trying things out. And after a while, they're like, oh, I guess we do know what we're doing, because we've had a lot of trial and error to experience it. And the people that are like, I know exactly what I'm doing.
That's, the way that you're like not leaving any room for growth there. And like you're not leaving any question of like, do you know what you're doing? Is there a better way to do it?
Yeah.
I feel like the people that, air quotes, don't know what they're doing are the ones that are going to do it better in the end.
Well, it's kind of like the empty cup mentality, which I love talking about. It's like if you have that empty cup mentality, then you can always have room for growth and fill things in. But those that feel like their cup is completely full and we don't need any more information,
don't allow anything
then they
new
won't
in.
be able to grow anymore. They've kind of stifled their own growth. And I think that's the key. Because here's the deal. Even though you didn't know how to use a camera before, now you do.
Yeah.
You know?
Kinda.
Well, I mean, before when you were working for food, but you do, you know? And now you're like the CMO, where you're like, well, I didn't even think that was going to be my path, and now here you are, right? Yeah. And as you continue to grow, and as you continue to, I guess, like like that empty cup mentality situation where you're constantly growing and constantly trying to wing it, but as you're winging it, you learn as you go through experience. Mm-hmm. I think that's sometimes like the best way to learn.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's awesome. Now, final question. What advice would you give your younger self?
Oh gosh. Yeah. Oh wow, I haven't thought about this. Everyone always asks people this, and I always just kind of like put it out of my brain.
Yeah, well, not anymore. I'm excited for your winging abilities to like answer this one.
I think I stressed myself out and worked a lot, as I explained earlier. I think I would just tell myself to keep going with that. But I think I would have told myself to be a little more social. I wasn't very social, and I feel like that's still what I lack. Like I can work really hard. And if I could work really hard and make a lot of money working really hard, but if you don't have the connections, like it's not gonna work for long term, you know? Yeah. So I would have been a lot more social, like through high school and in college, and just met more people and filled up that cup for those experiences where I had to be in high school. I didn't have to go to college, but I did go to college, and I could have made that experience a lot more worth it if I would have just met a few good people,
I love that advice. I think I remember there were times in college when I was so stressed out over finals or tests and homework and stuff like that. So I shut myself out. Like I remember my friends were like, hey, let's go do this. I'm like, I can't, guys, I cannot.
I switched my advice. Don't take AP classes.
Yeah, do not. Yeah, please. Yeah, that's the first
my advice,
rule
actually.
But yeah, I remember just having to study all the time and get good grades and everything. Yeah. And what's interesting is those are big chunks of life that I don't remember anything about.
Me neither. I
just don't remember anything about them,
Literally the only thing I remember of my senior year, besides the very end, the senior party and prom and that, is studying with my study group for calculus, for AP calculus.
What a positive memory that was. You know,
it's like in some
Yeah.
like boy's kitchen that I don't know, but he's in my AP Calc class, and
Yeah.
like I definitely could have like talked to those people and made connections. I don't remember who they were. We were studying though.
Yeah, and you're not having like emotionally positive, you know, experiences talking about derivatives and integrals. You know, you're not thinking about those. You know, I know it's very interesting because I remember the times when I took, like, I don't know, when I took the time to say, you know what, I'm going to actively have a fun experience. Like, that's what I remember. I remember there was this, back in college, there was this, like, we had these, like, 2 congregations, and, like, one, we were doing, like, this kind of a Thanksgiving type of dinner together,
cool.
you know?
Friendsgiving.
Yeah, Friendsgiving. One groups was considered the Pilgrims, and the other groups were considered the Indians, and they were inviting everyone over, right, for dinner. And so when they, and my group was assigned to be this Indians, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is too easy. So I dressed up as like a traditional Indian from India.
That's funny.
And I had like Indian food that I brought and everything. And people from the other group was like, they're like, oh my gosh, she had no idea.
Oh.
And well, because
you were like trying to be like
all my friends were like, you're such an idiot. But you know, but the thing was, I decided to have a fake Indian accent the whole time too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm sorry, no one told me that it said be an Indian. I'm an Indian, you know. And they were like, oh my gosh, like let him do his thing. And I'm just like, you guys, this is a joke. This is a joke. Of course I know. I grew up in Provo, you know. But, you know, and so they were all dying laughing. But I remember thinking like, why is it that I remember that, but I don't remember any of my classes?
Yeah,
you know. So and this should not be about like not doing well in school. Like, please,
if
like
you
want
to do well in school,
yes.
do well in school. You can learn. I mean, Ethan did not graduate. He didn't get his bachelor's degree, but he did go to school for 4 years. He was in a fraternity. He still has so many friends from that fraternity, so many connections to the business school. He knows like the head of the business program who was like going to invest in this different company he wanted to do for a while. Like, the connections you form through school or the education you do get, if that's what you're going for, it's valuable.
Completely valuable. But like you said, relationships.
Yeah.
Relationships are so key, and forming like really positive memories with some of those relationships. I mean, it's interesting. I still work now with people that I went to high school with, you know, and it's interesting.
Too, actually.
Yeah.
My community manager, I went to high school with her.
Yeah. And so it's just like a very interesting thing because people want to work with people that they like. I mean, that's really kind of what it comes down to it, right? I mean, of course, you want them to have the skills and qualifications as well.
But it comes down to who you know.
But it comes down to who you know.
Sadly, but good also.
But yeah, exactly. Because people want to work with their friends.
Yeah.
So I'm a big proponent of building those relationships and having those positive memories. Yeah. Instead of like forgetting those memories and relationships aside for something that you think is more important.
Your AP Calculus
test.
Your
AP Calculus.
Super important.
You know? Because you know what? At the end of the day, I just don't care the rate at what a water drips out of a funnel. I just don't care about that. I don't. I've tried, but they always ask that question, calculus. I'm like, I don't care.
I don't
But
care.
what I do care about is hanging out with my friends, you know, and enjoying life with them. So, so I love it. Well, thank you so much. This has been awesome. Is there any plugs that you would like to give for Thirst right now?
Their Instagram is @ThirstDrinks. We also have a TikTok that is also @ThirstDrinks. My business Instagram is rachel.from.thirst, and you will find some stories there of how I market, but mostly just funny things that happen throughout the day because I'm not very good at documenting my journey.
Great.
Who is really great at documenting their journey is Ethan from Thirst, who is our CEO and president, and he's great at documenting business if you're really interested in how a business is run and an inside look on that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for coming on. I hope you've enjoyed your beverages so far. I know they don't compare to Thirst.
Delicious. No, they brought me a Blue Powerade, which is my favorite Mountain Berry Blast. Thank you so much for having me.
Very welcome. You're very welcome. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for listening to the Lemonade Stand podcast, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you use to be alerted when we release new episodes. We'd also love to hear your feedback in the reviews, and if you or someone you know has an awesome Lemonade Stand story, please reach out to us on social media and let us know. Thanks so much and have a great day.